The Story of Josanna by Eric Hua. Chapter 6, Capture. That night, Josanna waited up on one of the trees. When the sound of wailing appeared again, Josanna knew it was time. She raised her bow, pulled an arrow from her quiver and waited for her target. There was movement in the bushes, and jumping out was a silhouette of a creature Josanna didn't recognize. She pulled the bowstring back and released the arrow that flew towards the target. She aimed right at the chest, but it was deflected away, making a clank sound. The sound piqued Josanna's attention. She saw the arrow deflect from the right side of her target. If the creature had claws, then the arrow bouncing off shouldn't have made that kind of noise. Instead, it sounded like it clashed against something made of metal. Josanna wouldn't have time to ponder further, as the silhouette figure had located where she was hiding and charged at the tree she was on. The impact shook the tree so much that Josanna fell off. Thankfully, she landed on a bush, which broke her fall. She was lucky to survive without any injuries, but now she was defenseless on the ground. The creature charged full speed towards Josanna, who had to strategize on the fly. She pulled out an arrow from her quiver and began tying a rope at the end of it in frantic fashion. Just before she was about to be struck, Josanna rolled to the right and evaded the attack. With the arrow ready to be fired, she loaded up her bow and let the arrow fly. The arrow completely missed the creature, but she stuck it against one of the trees. Provoked by her arrows, the beast charged again. This time Josanna ran towards her enemy, and before they made contact, she slid under her opponent and grabbed the other end of the rope that was attached to the arrow. She quickly tied that end to the hilt of her sword. The creature double-backed in hopes to interfere with her plan. Josanna attempted to dodge, but something nicked her in the arm and gave her a cut. There was a stinging pain, but luckily the wound wasn't deep. However, her opponent knew it landed a hit and was ready to finish the job. But Josanna was done playing defense. She threw her sword and stuck it to another tree. She then taunted her enemy and triggered it to make one final charge. With its focus squarely on Josanna, it didn't notice the rope connected between the arrow and sword that Josanna had set in place. It ran right at the rope and was clotheslined onto the ground. The weird thing was the creature split into two. One was lying on the ground and the other half ran away in fear. Wanting clarity of the situation, Josanna grabbed a branch on the ground and turned it into a torch. She held it over the creature that was knocked down, but she was not expecting what she was about to see. What she saw was a human warrior lying on the ground. Josanna was filled with confusion as to what was going on. But before she could approach her opponent any further, she was surrounded by an army of humans holding their weapons towards her. Immediately she dropped all her weapons and lifted up her hands. The soldiers apprehended her weapons and then forced her to follow them.